Ooh, yeah. We are back. It's my Macho Man impersonation. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another BRAP rant, a morning rant, if you will. And I'm actually drinking coffee right now at the moment. And kind of pay homage to what Warrior used to do with his coffee cup compilations, which were really, really good, really insightful. Except you won't see my coffee cup because I don't have my camera on. But yeah, I wanted to do another video because as I was reading an article this morning, when I did a BRAP rant yesterday, we're talking about Michael Pachter. Well, Michael Pachter was in the news earlier again in the week regarding his thoughts on PlayStation 5. And it's interesting because, Sony just released the PlayStation 4 Pro last year, and Michael Pachter is suggesting that he thinks that the PlayStation 5 will launch in 2019, and that's going to be backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 games. Pachter believes that Sony's waiting for an increase in saturation of 4K TVs in consumer households. Consumer households before biting the bullet on new hardware, which I guess could, from Sony's perspective, probably makes a little sense too. I think Microsoft's got the jump on them a little bit more with maybe the Xbox One X than the Pro. I think we'll probably see more 4K gaming on the Pro. On the Xbox One X. Although I think we're not going to see as much as some people seem to believe. But it doesn't surprise me that Sony's kind of waiting to see, or waiting for the 4K TV market to be a little more saturated. I think right now, globally as it stands, well, I should say as of 2016, globally speaking, 5% of all households had a 4K TV. El Ramos, what's going on, man? El Ramos is in the live chat. Thank you for joining us this morning. Yeah, so 4K saturation worldwide is about 5%. In the United States, it is at 15% of households as of 2016. I believe by 2020, that's supposed to be 30%, maybe a third of U.S. households will have 4K TVs. Now, I there's a lot of, I think with regards to 4K TVs, I think there's a little bit of a misconception out there where people think that because you can only buy 4K TVs at Best Buy or whatever retailer you go to, that automatically means that there's going to be this massive influx of 4K TV sold. And I'm not necessarily sure that that's true. I mean, you got to take into account there's people who bought 1080p TVs as of a year and a half, 2-3 years ago. Me being one of those individuals, I have a 1080p TV. Actually, I have 3 1080p TVs in my house. I have 3 55-inch TVs. I actually do have one plasma, which I'm going to boast and say that out of all the plasmas or out of the TVs I have in my house, it's probably the best picture quality. I have a Panasonic ST50, which is just a beast. I have it calibrated. TV looks incredible. And then I have a Samsung LED, which looks really good too. I have that calibrated. And that's my gaming TV. And then I have a Toshiba 55 in my living room. And that's an LCD. So, but I'm not ready to just necessarily upgrade just yet. And there's probably people that are in my boat. But yeah, there's probably others who, are going to go out and buy 4K TVs, early adopters, or people who may have never bought a 1080p and now looking at a TV, or bought a 1080p early and just are ready to upgrade. Now, I think content is ultimately what's going to drive 4K TV sales at the end of the day. I think that's where Microsoft trying to get on this boat a little bit earlier than Sony in that regard by offering 4K content. But there is streaming content. I mean, you can stream 4K. Netflix is doing it. I believe DirecTV does offer some 4K programming, but I can tell you worldwide right now, there's only about 75 channels that are offering true native 4K. I am not a big fan of streaming 1080 or 4K over the internet, but I'm a little bit of a purist in that regard. I prefer disc. I think the disc quality is just much better than streaming. but I may be the minority in that regard. And if you like that, it's fine. It's okay. It's for you. It's just not for me. Lunar 1745. What is going on, my friend? Thank you for joining this morning BRAP rant as I consume coffee and caffeine. Well, they're the same, one of the same. So, yeah, Lunar, you missed yesterday's rant. If you didn't get a chance to check out yesterday's rant, please go to the BRAP YouTube site and YouTube channel, and you'll see yesterday's rant where I talk about Microsoft selling off the Xbox division, which is not going to happen. Again, that's something that Michael Pachter spoke about. Mighty Mouse, what's going on in the live chat? You know, I like doing these live rants. I know some people do videos that aren't live, but I like doing them because we get people in the chat room, and um, feel free to ask questions, and there's always good dialogue here during these BRAP rants. That's why I really enjoy doing them. I wish I could do them more, but I just can't. It's just hard to at times. You know, I'm a family man. I got children's as they call them, and they keep me busy. So for those of you who just joined, again, Michael Pachter believes that Sony will launch the PlayStation 5 in 2019, and that it will be backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 games. I think that this is a must. I think Sony really needs to hit a home run in this regard. I think that, look, I'm not a big fan of the PS Now streaming service. I'm just not. I understand that they made a big investment in Gaikai years ago. I think it was like a $500 million investment. What's up, J Street? Thank you for joining me again. 2 days in a row now, man. So, you know, I think that, you know, with x86 architecture, with the PlayStation 4, you have to assume they'll probably have the same for PlayStation 5, which would make backwards compatibility a non-issue. I think it's just whether or not Sony chooses how they choose to deliver that. Lunar in the live chat says he thinks PlayStation 5 should be backwards compatible, or else he's going to jump ship to Xbox. Well, I think that's, you know, if you feel strongly about that, Lunar, I can't blame you. I mean, if you and look, I don't know if I would jump ship, because there's a lot of exclusive first party content that Sony has, which I think's outstanding, which I would really want to play on the PlayStation 5. Horizon Zero Dawn, the sequel to that game, would be something I would love to see on a true next gen platform. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily, you know, jump shit. I will say this: I think the Sony should do this, though. It's, look, your competitors doing it. It's a feature that that a lot of gamers like. They enjoy. They're using it. I mean, you know, you look at some of the games that have come out backwards compatible. I think it's Black Ops 2. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is, I think it may even charted MPD at one point. When it was announced backwards compatible. So I mean, there's definitely a demand for there. I mean, and I think that it's just another feature, another selling point for Sony. Your competitors doing it, why not? And I just, you know, if you want to do PS Now with, you know, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 titles, by all means do that. You know, I can understand the argument of, well, those games are harder to port over to, you know, add to a backwards compatibility list than PlayStation 4 because of different architecture. I get that argument. That makes sense. But at least with the PlayStation 4, let those titles be backwards compatible. I think that would be a big win for Sony. I said this last night. I think where Microsoft can't even talk, where Microsoft's strength is, especially more recently, has been with services or certain features that may benefit gamers, where I think Sony is really, their strong point has been stronger first party content, and probably I would even argue probably with that first party content and some of the other things that they offer in terms of VR and indies and whatnot, they probably have a little more well-rounded portfolio of offerings for a variety of tastes for gamers. So so yeah, let's just hope that's true. Let's hope Michael Pachter is right about this. You know, the running joke with Pachter is that whatever he says, the opposite comes true. So we'll see. Hey, J Street, yeah, I appreciate you coming by again, man. I know you can't stay long, but thank you again. Um, and J Street also says PlayStation Now is irrelevant. Yeah, I don't know how many people actually use it. I haven't seen any official numbers on usage. I don't know many people that do. Maybe there's people out there that use it, that are okay with the streaming service. Um, me personally, I don't have any interest in it. That's just me. But um, so here's the interesting thing about 2019. And by the way, this interview with Michael Pachter, where he talks about PlayStation 5 and it being backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 Pro games. I'm sorry, I said PlayStation 4 Pro games. Um, this was an interview with Gaming Bolt. Um, and he also said that again, this really depends on um, Sony's kind of like watching to see how quickly 4K TV saturate the market. And he's saying that they're probably looking at when the 4K TV market reaches 50% in the US and 35% in the rest of the world. Now, keep in mind what I just said. 2016, as of 2016, worldwide, 5% of homes had 4K TVs. In the United States, as of 2016, 15% of households had a 4K TV. So in 3 years, will we see a boom where in the US we'll get to 50%? I don't know. I don't know if we'll see that. I'm not saying it's impossible. It could happen. We'll see though. But it's interesting. I'm not necessarily sure, and I want to get everyone's thoughts here in the live chat. I'm not so sure if they're going to come out with a new console in 2019. And the reason I say that is because, that puts it within 3 years of the release of the PlayStation 4 Pro. Sony's also the market leader right now. They sold 20 million units last fiscal year. Oh, I'm sorry. They sold 20 million units in the last fiscal year. Um, and I think they're about 60 million globally right now, with about 20%, um, 20% of those consoles being PlayStation 4 Pro units. So I don't know. I don't know. With them being the market leader, I don't know if it makes sense. They kind of don't have to. Honestly, this is what I think. The Sony's PlayStation's 25th year anniversary is coming up in 2020. And I've always thought that perhaps makes more sense, just from a just to celebrate the PlayStation brand and from a nostalgia standpoint. I've always thought that Sony comes out with the PlayStation 5. It's a 25th anniversary. They kind of ride the marketing hubbub of 25 years in the console industry. Um, and and maybe they designed the console with the the traditional, or I should say the original, um, color of that kind of like light gray of the PlayStation 1. So I could see them doing that. I just think that maybe makes more sense. Um, he also thinks that Michael Pachter also thinks that this is probably going to be um, kind of a half step with regards to the PlayStation 5 going from the Pro. Um, my guess that it's probably going to be, if we think about power, um, geez, I mean, it's probably going to be. My guess, it's going to be more powerful than the Xbox One X, is what I would guess. I mean, if you think about at that point what's going to be available to Sony, and you got to believe, he's saying 2019, and I'm saying more than likely 2020. You got to believe that Sony's looking at specs already. Mark Cerny's probably looking at things, and they're kind of initially laying the early groundwork to the PlayStation 5. But I think I see Sony. I mean, I think Sony, and that begs a question too. If Sony launches the PlayStation 5 in 2020 or 2019, what does that mean for Microsoft? Are they going to announce another Xbox console? Like the Xbox One X Plus or something? I mean, what does that mean? I mean, and that's and this is I think a great conversation to have, because we've never had iterative consoles before. We never had this happen where you've had these console iterations launch like halfway through a console cycle. That just doesn't happen. And if you look at the 2020 date, which I mentioned, which is the 25th anniversary of the PlayStation, that puts the console um, that puts this console gen at 7 years for Sony, and 4 years for the PlayStation 4 Pro. So I just feel like that makes more sense. There's a little more space between those consoles' respective launches and a new console generation. But I do think that the PlayStation 5 is going to be a brand new console launch, a new console gen in the traditional sense. And I think, I don't think it's going to happen in 2019. I think I don't necessarily agree with Pactor on this one. I just think that 2019 maybe is too early. Maybe I could see we get an announcement in 2019 and with the release of 2020, like fall of 2020, celebrating 25 years of PlayStation. So, um, Lunar, you say BRAP 60 frames a second or 4K. Are you asking me what I prefer? Mighty Mouse in the live chat says I think they'll announce it 2019 with the release date holiday of 2020. I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. Lunar says maybe late 2019 because the only reason why we had a long PS3 360 because of the economy. I've heard that. I've heard people say that too. Downturn had something to do with it, but I think it also had to do with Sony and Microsoft wanted to recoup its losses. Sony lost a lot of money with the PlayStation 3 initially, and we know the whole debacle with the Red Ring situation with Microsoft and how much that cost them. Let's see here. So yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of the interview with Pactor and PlayStation 5. And it's going to be interesting. This could be a situation where you know Sony's going to have the more powerful console. Xbox One X or the Xbox brand is going to have they have the most powerful console now, but they may have a little bit of a head start in that regard with a console that can do native 4K in some instances. And I guess the question is, I mean, is it going to be enough for people to upgrade? Um, the PlayStation 5. I mean, are people going to, go out in droves to potentially buy that console when it comes out? And I think that's just depending on how many people have 4K TVs and so forth. So certainly interesting. Definitely some interesting talking points by Michael Pachter, again, who also had that interview regarding Microsoft and it selling off the Xbox One division, which he said it won't because it's profitable. But and I wonder like what PS5 2 would mean for PlayStation VR. I will say it was good to see Sony spend or dedicate some time at their E3 regarding PSVR because I feel like it really hadn't been talked about a lot recently. And we know Sony's history at times they don't always necessarily support peripherals long term. And so it was good to see them show their commitment to PlayStation VR. And so you got to imagine that PlayStation VR, that it's going to, play a part in the PlayStation 5. Now, whether or not we get a new PlayStation VR headset as a result of a new console, that would be something that I would be interested in seeing. Or maybe they keep the existing peripheral and use the extra horsepower of the PlayStation 5 to make games run better, look better on PlayStation VR. So that's my rant for this morning. Big shout out to everyone in the live chat, J Street, Lunar, Mighty Mouse. If I'm missing anyone else, I apologize. But as always, I appreciate you guys coming by and shooting the shit with me. And just as always, great feedback, great conversations. Certainly appreciate it. And OBJ, Audio Fix, Audio Flicks, I should say, and Miasa, Besma, Thank you for stopping by. I believe some of you guys are new, or I haven't seen the live chat. So, hey, remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Tell your friends about us too as well. We're looking to grow this channel. We are not a fanboy rah-rah channel. We're a channel that just talks video games, and that's it. We don't bash consoles or put out misinformation to move an agenda, a fanboy agenda forward. That's just not what we do here. We're all gamers. Many of us are multi console owners and just have a true love and appreciation for the gaming industry. And actually, Mesa said PS5 coming 2022 and 2023. I don't know. I think that's a little bit far off. I really think 2020 is the day for them because of the 25th anniversary of the PlayStation brand. I think they're going to ride that nostalgia to success or potential success. I think they're going to use that. That's going to be their marketing point. 25 years of PlayStation, and I could see them coming with a PlayStation 5 with the same color scheme as the original PlayStation to celebrate 25 years. So, just my thoughts, my 2 cents. So everyone, again, thank you again for dropping by and saying hello. Remember to give us a like and subscribe. And if more news drops, if I have time, I will be dropping or doing some more BRAP rants. These are fun. I do enjoy doing them. But if not, just remember we'll be back on the regular Basement Radio Arcade podcast, which goes live Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So other than that, gamers, we will catch you guys next time. Thank you for listening. Remember, thumbs up. If you give us a thumbs down, let us know why too in the comment section. But also remember to subscribe. Tell your friends about us too. And all right, everyone, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Peace.